This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good evening everyone. Bruchim Abam. Thank you everyone for coming. We want to welcome all of our Torah Anytime viewers and give a big Yasher Koyach to Rav Sam Daniel for sponsoring the share this evening. It's been many weeks in the working. We've been planning this for a long time. So we give him a big Yasher Koyach. And in the schus of being mechazek, limud Torah, he should be blessed with much success and hatzlacha in all of his endeavors. V'imali Hashem kol mishalos libcha l'toiva. Okay. If we were to ask ourselves, what is the definition of a tzaddik? What does it mean to be a tzaddik? So all of a sudden, it conjures up in our mind a picture of a guy with a long beard, long white beard, maybe a fur hat, saying Tehillim all day, davening along Shemona Esrei. What does it mean to be a tzaddik? What does it mean to be a tzaddik? What do you have to do? Do you have to wear a certain color coat? You have to do certain things. You have to say certain things. You have to go to the mikvah. How many times do you have to dunk? What does it mean to be a tzaddik? Now, so you ask, was there anybody who was ever a tzaddik?
Yosef. Yeah. Yosef.
So actually we know that Yosef is called a tzaddik. But most people are probably unfamiliar with where does it say that Yosef was a tzaddik? We know in Oshpizin, in the Zohar, it says Yosef Tzaddikaya. But does it say anywhere in the Chumash that Yosef was a tzaddik? And the answer is no.
No.
In Nevi'im, the Navi Amos that we learned last week refers to Yosef as tzaddik. The Navi Amos says, Koyamar Hashem, so says God, Al Shlosha Pisha Yisrael. The Jews sinned 3 times, but V'al Arba, for a 4th sin, Lo Yashivenu, can I not take retribution? For which is the 4th sin that God says He has to punish us? Al Michram Ba'Kesef Tzaddik, for selling the tzaddik for money. Who's the tzaddik? Yosef. So, the Navi doesn't throw around words. So, nowhere, anywhere in Chumash or in Navi or in Ksuvim is Moshe called a tzaddik? Is Aaron called a tzaddik? Is Abraham, Yitzchak, or Yaakov called a tzaddik? There's only one time in the entire Nevi'im and Ksuvim that one individual is called a tzaddik, and that is Yosef. There is another individual in Tanakh that is also called a tzaddik. Noach. Noach is tzaddik. That's it. Noach and Yosef. Yeah?
Right.
So what does it mean to be a tzaddik? So the Medrash Tanchuma says, Ish tzaddik, al shazan b'Yosef shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu nikotak. You know what it means to be a tzaddik? To feed people. Shkoyach Sam, right? You know what it means to be a tzaddik? If you feed people, especially Jews, you're a tzaddik. Okay. Why? Now, how many people do you have to feed? The whole world. There are only 2 individuals in history that fed the whole world. Noach, well, he's on the boat. He's feeding everyone, the whole world. And Yosef, who hamashbir l'chol am haaretz. There are 2 individuals in Tanakh that are called tzaddik, says the Medrash, because they fed everyone. By the way, someone pointed out to me, there's another individual that is called a tzaddik, but he's not a person. He's God. And when is God called a tzaddik? Paiseach es yadecha umaspia l'chol chai ratzoin tzaddiku Hashem. Very interesting. The definition of a tzaddik, according to the Medrash, is to feed people. Rabbi Say, this evening we are going to investigate and delve into another reason why Yosef was called a tzaddik, perhaps why Noach was called a tzaddik, and we begin with a chidah. But it's not what you're thinking. I know, the rabbi's quoting the chidah again. No. This time, instead of the chidah with an aleph, it's a chidah with a hey, a chidah, a riddle. A riddle. Okay? You ready for the riddle? Now, this riddle is brought down in the Sefer Chamra Tava from Rabbi Avraham Simcha Horowitz, the Avbezin of Barnav. We're featuring the Sefer for the very first time. He was a Makubal and a master of Ramazim. And he asks the following riddle. He says, Chanukah is alluded to in Parshas Miketz, Vayigash, Vayeshev. So where? So he said like this. Listen to this. Chida l'Chanukah. Kach mitzias Yosef. Take what Yosef found. El Bigdei Yosef. Put it next to Yosef's clothing. Umechir Yosef. take Yosef's price, El Tosefes Yosef, put it together with what was added to Yosef, V'timtza Chanukah. And you'll find Chanukah. You hear? You take what Yosef found, you put it together with Yosef's coat, you take what Yosef costs, you put it together with what was added onto Yosef, and you have Chanukah. You got it? Anyone have it? So the answer is like this. Here's the riddle. Here's the answer to the riddle. What did Yosef find? Vayimtza Yosef chen. Right? Look in number 4. Vayimtza Yosef chen be'einav. Yosef found favor in the eyes of his boss. So chen. Okay, take the letters ches, nun. Now take Yosef's coat. What was Yosef's coat made out of? Look at number 5. Big day sheish. Sheish means linen. It could also mean the number 6. Vav. Okay? So you take chen, you put it together with vav, Yosef's coat. Okay. Now take what Yosef costs. How much was Yosef worth? How much was he sold for? So the pasuk says in Vayeshev Lamed Zayin number 6, Esrim Kosef, 20 silver pieces. The letter Chaf. So Chanukah. And then what letter was added onto Yosef's name? Hey. Right? Like we say in Tehillim Pei Aleph. Eidus Bihosef Samo. When Yosef was appointed the king of Egypt, he didn't know all the languages. Malach Gabriel came, taught him all the languages. He wasn't chapping. Hashem added a hey onto his name. So says Rabbi Avram, Simcha, Horowitz, the Bezna of Barnov. You know what the remes to Chanukah is? You take what Yosef found, chen, you put it with Yosef's coat, sheish, which is a vav. You take what Yosef costed, which is a chaf, 20. You put it together with what was added onto Yosef's name. You have Chanukah. And the question we have to ask ourselves is, what in the world does these, we're like chapping the ches, I could also make a remazim to Chanukah, take ches from Chanan Hashem, Chanan V'racham Hashem Erech Apayim V'rav Chesed. Take the nun from, from congregation, it ends with a nun. Take the vav from, I don't know what. We'll find a vav. We'll find one. And a chaf and a hey. He's saying there has to be some connection. The fact that Yosef found chen in the eyes of his boss, and the fact that Yosef's coat was made out of a sheish, which is a vav, and he costed 20 silver pieces, and the extra hey. What does that have to do with Chanukah? Also very interesting. By the way, I'm just giving a little small introduction. Tonight's shiur is different than any other shiur we ever had. We can really say about that to every shiur we have, but it's really a little bit different. Okay. The Haftarah to Shabbos Chanukah. It ends with the following words. Teshuos chen la. Right? If you're still up in shul by the time they're learning the Haftarah this week, you'll notice the last pasuk of the Haftarah is Teshuos chen la. So can we help ourselves but to think that there's some connection between chen and Chanukah? Could we do that? It's on Chanukah you have to use some, rabbinic license. Is there any connection between the end of the Haftarah, chen and Chanukah? Okay. Rabbis say, there's a minhag of giving Chanukah gelt. Yeah? You never hear this minhag?
Right.
But you know who you're supposed to give it to? Your children's rabbeim. Not to the children. But what happened? People used to send the money with the kids to give to the Rebbe. The kids pocketed the money. So now people think the minhag is to give the children money. The minhag is you send money to your children's rabbeim. That was the authentic minhag. And it's actually brought down in the Magen Avram that on Chanukah the aniyim should go around to the houses and collect tzedakah. Halacha in the Magen Avram. The Magen Avram writes, look in Taf Reish Ayin, Noyagin, Haneorim, Hoaniyim, L'sabev, B'Chanukah L'Apsalim. The minhag is, the Aniyim go around from door to door to collect tzedakah on Chanukah. Does he have the right holiday? Chanukah, tzedakah? We know Purim, Pesach. But no, the Magen Avram doesn't say Purim, Aniyim go around collecting. No, on Purim you have to go to the Ani. On Pesach, you have to go to the Ani. The only Yom Tif that it says Aniyim should come to you is Chanukah. Probably most people never even heard this before. The only Yom Tov it says poor people should go collect money is Chanukah. I mean, where does this come from? Where does this come from? So Chassam Sofer says like this. Okay, this is just the beginning. Chassam Sofer says that, on Chanukah, you have the mezuzah on the right side of the door. Yeah? You have the Ner Chanukah on the left side. If the ani is standing in the middle of the door, you have three mitzvahs. You have Ner Chanukah on the left, you have mezuzah on the right, and ani in the middle, noyam, nun, ayin, mem. Ner, ani, mezuzah. What's noyam? We know that by the Chanukahs, Hamishkan, Moshe Rabbeinu offered the tefillah, Vihi noyam Hashem Elokeinu aleinu. We want God's presence to dwell on us. So therefore we create this symbolic word noyam, ner, ani, mezuzah. But we want to get to the bottom of this. What exactly is the inyan? What's the reason why the halacha states that aniyim should go around collecting tzedakah on Chanukah? Okay, now we come to something very interesting. Anybody over here by the name of Yosef? Besides my father. David Yosef, right? Okay. So we learned by Shalashudas 2 weeks ago that the name Yosef is B'gematria Yud Kei Vav Kei times 6. Okay? But very interesting, the word Yosef has another gematria. Antiochus. Antiochus is the gematria Yosef. Also, Melech Yavan is the gematria Yosef. So that is the revelation of the Megala Amukos. That somehow there is a clash. There is a head-to-head battle, right? The two helmets clash, right? Head-to-head battle between Yosef and Antiochus. Somehow Antiochus and the Yavanim are what we call anti-Yosef. Their entire focus is to counteract the Koyach HaKedusha of Yosef HaTzadik. In fact, one of the Gzeros that they decreed was you have to write on the horn of an ox that we have no share in God. Why an ox? Because Yosef is compared to an ox. How do we know he's compared? Bechor, Shairai, Hadarlai. So what exactly is it that somehow Yosef and Antiochus are antithesis? Right? They're the polar opposites from each other. Well, in what way? Okay. Now, everybody wants to know, what was the Avos? They learned Torah all day, they did Chesed. Did they have any hobbies? Did they collect bottle caps? What did they do in their spare time? Moshe, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Yeshua, Ben Nun. What did they do in their, did they collect baseball cards? What did they do? Yeah. So you'll be very pleased to know that the Avos actually had a hobby. And they like to mint coins.
What?
They minted coins. Le sakein matbeot. They minted coin. They made coins. Coins. You know what a coin is?
Coins, yeah. What's mint?
Money. Mint. To make coins. They made coins. Where does this come from? It's a Gemara Masechta Baba Kama. The Gemara in Baba Kama says that what is a Matbea Shel Yerushalayim, a Jerusalem coin? Jerusalem coin is like this. It says David and Shlomo on one side, and it says on the other side, Yerushalayim HaKodesh. Ask the Gemara, what is the coin of Avraham Avinu? Says the Gemara, the coin of Avraham Avinu had an old man and an old woman on one side, and a young boy and a young girl on the other side. So the Gemara is telling us, Avraham Avinu minted a coin. I mean, come on, you got to be kidding me. He minted a coin? I mean, he had nothing better to do with his life than mint a coin? I mean, this is, Avraham is on the Merkava, is on God's throne. He's from the greatest person who ever lived. He's busy being Mekari B'chokim. What? He actually took off time from his schedule to mint a coin? Well, what does that mean? So you say, I don't know, maybe he was the only one who did it. Says the Medrash, no, a lot of tzaddikim minted coins. Who else minted coins? Says the Medrash, look at number 13. There are 4 famous tzaddikim and they all minted coins. Says the Gemara, first of all, Avraham minted a coin. And if you want to, if you ever discover, you're digging in your backyard and you discover a coin that has an old man and an old woman on one side and a young boy and a young girl on the other, you found the coin of Avraham Avinu. Then the Gemara says, Yehoshua ben Nun minted a coin. What did it have on Yehoshua ben Nun's coin? An ox on one side, a ram on the other. Why? Because it says about Yosef and then Yehoshua, Bechar Sharai Hadarlai V'Karni Re'imkani. David minted a coin. What did it have on David's coin? On one side a stick, on one side a money belt, and one side a tower. And not only that, Mordechai also minted a coin. What did it have on Mordechai's coin? On Mordechai's coin, on one side you had sakva efer, sackcloth, ashes, and on the other side you had a golden crown. I mean, come on, you gotta be kidding me. This is true? Because these tzaddikim minted coins, and by the way, if you look in Masechta Shabbos, Daf Lamed Gimel Lamed Beis, I discovered this Gemara right after the Shiur went to print. So if we ever learn this sugya again, it will be on the new version, on the updated, on the second edition of the Mar Makayimais. The Gemara says after Yaakov Avinu was spared from Esav, he comes to Eretz Yisrael. Vayichan es penei ha'ir, says the Gemara. Vayichan asa matbeos. He made coins. That's what he did. I mean, that's what tzaddikim do. They mint coins. Yeah, they didn't tell me this in yeshiva. You know, I thought you're supposed to learn. No, so tzaddikim have to mint coins. Okay, so what we have right now is a passage from the Sefer called Sefer HaChaim. Sefer HaChaim was written by the brother of the Maharal MiPrague. Okay, we're talking about 400 years ago. And the brother of the Maharal MiPrague offers us what I consider the most powerful treatment on a subject that we're about to say what it is that I have ever seen. And the topic is money. Money. So he starts off by saying, money is a very important thing. After all, Chazal tell us, Ani chashiv kameis, a poor man is as if he's dead. However, he then says the following. The Gemara tells us that nowadays there's no more idolatry, right? You don't have real idolatry. Even the people, he says, that bow down to the Buddha, yeah? They're fakers. They don't know what real Avodah Zarah is. They're just, it's only mitzvah sanoshim melumada. It's not the real Avodah Zarah like in the olden days, like in the old countries when they really worshipped Avodah Zarah the right way, the richter, the right way, like in what? Nowadays they're just a bunch of fakers, They don't know how to worship Avodah Zarah anymore. What? No, nothing to do with David Richtiger, right? Okay. Anyway, so he says like this. Even though we don't have Avodah Zarah, David, but there's one kind of Avodah Zarah we still have. And that is the worship of money. People today still worship. Now, what does it mean to worship money? Worship money. You think because a guy has money, he's also smart. What does one thing have to do with the other? They say in Yiddish, Chachma kommt mit Geld. Chachma doesn't come with Geld. The guy has good mazel, he's wealthy. But people worship money. They worship it, like Avodah Zarah. So everyone's thinking, yeah, I know somebody who worships money, but not me. I'm beyond that. I understand that money is not important. So he says like this. If you look in the Gemara Masechta Yuma, we find that Anshe Knesset Hagdolah tried to abolish the desire for Avodah Zarah. Now you have to understand, nowadays, when you walk by, a store that sells Getchkas, Avodah Zarah, you just walk by. In the old days, in the times of the Gemara, when you walked by a house of Avodah Zarah, you felt a nagging, you felt a passion, a desire. Something overcame you that you just wanted to get down and bow down to that Avodah Zarah. It was like uncontrollable. It was an urge. It was a passion. It was a desire.
Even for the Jew?
Yeah, especially for the Jew. Especially for the Jew. And Chazal saw how poisonous and dangerous this was. They prayed to God and they stopped the passion for Avodah Zarah. Then they decided, while they're at it, they're going to abolish the Yetzer Hara for Arayas, for Nashim. And they tried it. It didn't really work out. I'll let you look in the Gemara. It's not for a general audience right now. But put it this way. The Gemara says the chicken stopped laying eggs. It wasn't working out. Right? So, but, says the Sefer HaChaim, they minimized it. They diminished it a little bit. But there's one type of desire and passion that they didn't touch. And that's the desire for money. Says the Sefer HaChaim. The same way the desire for taiva, is uncontrollable, is very strong, is like a burning fire. There is nothing that compares to the desire for money. Money is a greater desire than anything else. He even says the word kesef. What does kesef mean? To desire. He says, even arayas, even taivas nashim, is more logical than the desire for money. Money is pure passion. Now, we're not talking about needing money to pay your bills. We're talking about the desire for money for its own sake. This, he says, is an uncontrollable desire. So he says, so why didn't the Anshe Knesset Agdola abolish it? He said, better than the other things. Anyway, people have to work to make a living. They're better that people should be preoccupied with making money and the desire and the never-ending quest for money than getting involved in other things. So says the Sefer HaChaim, of all passion and desire, the desire for money is what man is preoccupied with more than anything else. But then he says a very strong line. He says like this. He says, where does the word Russia come from? I'm almost afraid to say it, but what can we do? This is what he says. What is a Russia? Where does the word Russia, right? That's a strong term to call someone. The word Russia, says the Sefer HaChaim, if you want to see where it is on the second column in the second paragraph. He says, Russia, the Radak says, comes from the Pasuk in Eov, V'hu yashkid umi yarshia. Umi yashkid, who can be tranquil and who could stop him from moving? The word Russia means unending movement. Movement for what? Movement for money. Says the Sefer HaChaim, the definition of a Russia. Yeah, we could downplay it, we could temper it, we could, whitewash what he's saying, but we're not going to do that. We're going to say it in its absolute raw form, okay? We're not beating around the bush here. Says the Sefer HaChaim, definition of a Rasha is someone who's always occupied, making money. That's a harsh statement. But that's what he says. That's what he says. He says the word sheretz. You know what the word sheretz, right? A sheretz. Oh, the word sheretz. Where does the word sheretz come from? Sheretz. That he's running. We know a sheretz. Anybody ever try eating a caterpillar? Hopefully not, right? Anyone try eating a cockroach? Or sheretz. You can't eat it. The word sheretz, the root is sheretz. Comes from the root of someone always running to make money. As opposed to creatures that only have two legs. How fast could they go already? They are representative of those who are not involved in the constant, incessant drive to make money. He even says the reason why creatures that have many legs you can't eat them is because they represent the quest for the desire for money. That's what he says. Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. Anyway, says the Sefer HaChaim, and what's a tzaddik? What's a tzaddik? Is a tzaddik, we may think someone who gets up extremely early in the morning to work and stays up very late at night, working the whole day. He's very industrious and he's a hard worker, a lot of work ethic, yes. Maybe he's not lazy. But according to the Sefer HaChaim, that's not admirable. That's not admirable. A person has to work to make a living. You have to work within reason. But the incessant, constant running, he highly criticizes. What's a tzaddik? Is a tzaddik someone who, says the Tehillim every Shabbos, every day, someone who toivel in the mikvah? Says the Sefer HaChaim, if you want to see in the first paragraph, first column, on the bottom line. Lefi she'ein lahachzik shomadam leish tzaddik, ela imkein yadua shehu naki v'tzadik al inyan hamamon v'hakaseh. The definition of a tzaddik is someone who has integrity and honesty when it comes to money. The fact that the guy is the first one in the shul, we know nothing if he's a tzaddik or not. The fact that the guy knows Shas, we still have no clue if he's a tzaddik. The fact that the guy's beard is down to the floor, we don't know if he's a tzaddik. When we know if he's a tzaddik? When he borrows money, he's careful to pay back. If when he owes somebody money, he doesn't forget about it. If when he buys something, he pays for it. That's what a tzaddik is. Someone who doesn't cheat. Someone who doesn't take money that doesn't belong to him. That's a new definition of a tzaddik. It's a very big chiddush, right? We would think a tzaddik is someone who is very punctilious in religious practice. No, that's not what a tzaddik is. He may be careful on halacha, he may be a chassid, he may be a talmid chacham, but he's not a tzaddik. A tzaddik is someone who's careful with money. A rasha is someone who is so preoccupied with money that he may start to cut corners. He may start to take money that doesn't belong to him. A tzaddik is someone who his money is kasher v'yasher. Rosh Hashanah v'lo yishalem. That's right. Kaihelas.
Is there a place where Yosef is
Where is
careful
it?
with money?
Okay, we'll have to look it up. Rosh Hashanah v'lo yishalem. That is says the Sefer HaChaim. So why was Avram Avinu minting coins? Why was Yaakov Avinu minting coins? Why was Yehoshua ben Nun minting coins? Why was David HaMelech minting coins? You know why? Because money is very dangerous. Because as soon as it's jingling in your hand, you're going to start being blinded. You start getting caught up. Oh, as soon as you look at the bank account and you see the number, you want more, and you want more, and you want more. It's an avodah zarah. It's a taiva. It's a desire. Therefore, the Avos understood in order to curb their desire for money, what they did was, they took an event in history that God gave them a salvation, and they minted a coin, so that whenever they would see money, they would be reminded, Li ha-kesef no'am Hashem, that this is something that Hashem gave them. That is the purpose of why the Avos minted coins. Abraham minted a coin, an old man, an old woman on one side, and a young man, a young woman on the other side, to remind himself that after he was already older, Hashem made a miracle and he was able to have a child. Yeshua ben Nun pictured on his coin the conquest of Eretz Yisrael, so that any time they would be involved with money, they would remind themselves where money comes from. So if you think, if Abraham, if Yaakov, if David HaMelech felt that money was something that they considered dangerous, that could present a very big challenge for them, alachas kama v'kama, ordinary person like me and you have to beware. Because says the Sefer HaChaim, more than anything else in life, money, the desire for money exerts a tremendous force on a person. This is the treatment of the Sefer HaChaim. And he even says, like this, very interesting. We know that Eov lost all of his money. And Eov tries to console himself by saying, it's not so bad because, look, I came into this world without any money, so it's not so bad that I lost my money. So Sefer HaChaim says, what exactly is Eov's consolation? The fact that he came into the world without money? Says the Sefer HaChaim, you know what Eov is telling himself? Eov is saying to himself, money is not one of the essentials in life. So you say, well, how could it not be one of the essentials in life? How could I go anywhere? I can't do anything without money. What it means is like this. Would anyone here, does anybody dream about their toothbrush? Oh, my toothbrush. Oh, how I need my toothbrush. I have all of this lasagna stuck in between my teeth. Oh, I can't wait until I go home tonight to brush my teeth. And nobody dreams of, right? But people, even during this, they're feeling their wallet to see if it's there every 3 seconds, right? It's there, right? Why is it that, says Eov, a toothbrush is not essential to one's function in life. Of course, you got to brush your teeth. Otherwise, you won't be able to talk to anybody. But a toothbrush is not one of the ikarim in life. You wouldn't say one of the fundamental ideas and concepts in life is your toothbrush. Or does anybody dream about their winter coat? Oh, I can't wait until I could put on my winter coat. When you're cold, you put on the winter coat. When you're cold, you put on your winter coat. But nobody dreams, nobody has desires for their winter coat. Yeah? Does anybody have desires for their galoshes? No. Yeah, you need them. When it's snowing outside, you got to put them on. So Eov is saying, if money was one of the essential functions of life, then when I would have been born, God would have suspended around my neck a wallet with Visa, Discover, MasterCard, American Express, cash and checks. But I wasn't born that way. The same way I wasn't born with a toothbrush and galoshes, I wasn't born with money either. Which goes to show money is for a purpose, but it's not an end in and of itself. Okay, this concludes the treatment of the Sefer HaChaim. But what he's telling us is, what is the definition of a tzaddik? Someone who is careful with money. What is the definition of a rasha? Someone who is overly preoccupied with money. These are not my words. These are not the words of someone who lived 100 years ago. This is the brother of the Maharal MiPraga. Okay. Can we then help but think that if the Maharal's brother is telling us that the definition of a tzaddik is someone who is careful with money, And in Tanakh we find that Yosef is called a tzaddik. Is it possible to say that this is Yosef's defining feature? So let's see. In Parshas Vayigash, next week, yeah? So, Paro appoints Yosef to be the head of Egypt, to be the chief of the treasury, and the pasuk says like this: Vayalaket Yosef es kol hakesef. Yosef gathered all the money. Hanimtza b'aretz Mitzrayim, that was found in Mitzrayim. U'b'aretz Canaan. Ba'asher asher him shoybrim, for the food that everybody bought. Vayave Yosef es hakesef beisa Paroi. Yosef brought the money to Paro's house. Why is the Torah telling us that Yosef took the money and he brought it to Paro's house? Says the Sforno. Ready for this? Says the Sforno. Vayave Yosef es hakesef. Yosef brought the money. Beisa Paroi. Sheloi hoira liatzmai heter. Yosef did not rationalize b'chol amalei, in all of his work, la'kachas davar la'atzmai, to take a penny for himself. Just imagine, Yosef is collecting money from every citizen, from every country in the world, and they're buying food from him. And Yosef's giving them a loaf of bread, and they're paying top dollar. They're giving him $100. Yosef, the money's coming in. The money's coming in. And Yosef thinks to himself, one second. Paro appointed me to be the treasurer. I'm working, giving him all of my energies, all of my talents. So, every 10th $100 bill, he should slip in his pocket. I mean, Paro didn't offer him a salary. I mean, he's entitled. He's entitled. Would anybody think he's not entitled? Would anybody even know if Yosef took anything? Says the Sforno, Yosef did not rationalize, right? He could have rationalized. He could have said, yeah, that boss. Of course, he doesn't owe me anything. But I came to work early today. Is he going to pay me extra for the fact that I worked overtime? So when he's not looking, I'll take something, I'll take a roll of paper towels from the office. He won't mind. Or I'll call long distance from the office. He won't mind. Says the Sforno. Yosef could have rationalized to himself, you know what? I'm working my heart out. I'm working so hard. Let me take something. No. Says the Sforno, Yosef did not take a penny. Says the Ramban. Why does the Torah go to such great lengths to explain all the details of Yosef's economic plan, that he was busy with selling the food to the people, and then buying their animals, and then buying themselves? Why does the Torah go to such great lengths to tell us about all of Yosef's efforts? Says the Ramban, look at number 17. The Torah is telling me the Maila of Yosef, the great attribute of Yosef. How v'chihi haya ish emunim, how trustworthy he was when it came to money. That he brought all the money to Paro's house. Didn't he have a right to take something, to take a cut? Of course he had a right. Says Ramban, not only he should have made his own treasury. Take 10%, 5%, 3%, 1%. If Yosef would have taken 1%, he would have been the wealthiest man. He didn't take anything. Why? He says, he gave everything to the king who trusted him. Paro entrusted him with the job. Paro put his faith in him. Yosef had to act in good faith. Says the Ramban, and by Yosef doing this, Yosef found favor in people's eyes. Why? Not because he was so good looking. Not because he was so charming. Because he was so honest. That's what the Ramban says. In fact, the Medrash tells us that when Klal Yisrael were coming and traveling through the Midbar, they were led by two aroinos, by two boxes. The aroin that housed the Torah, and the aroin of Yosef. And the Goyim would see what's going on. What are these two boxes? So people said, inside this box is a dead person, and inside this box is the living God. So the Goyim said, why are you putting a dead person next to the living God? So the Medrash says, because, we told the people, this guy in this box fulfilled what it said in that box. They said, what's that? He didn't steal. So they said, when didn't he steal? When he was appointed over the treasury in Egypt. So imagine like at the Levaya of the Vilna Gaon. They said, look what a tzaddik is coming by. Oh yeah, what did he do? He didn't pocket someone else's money. Somebody might be very surprised if that was the accolades that we give the big tzaddik. No, but those were the accolades given to Yosef. He didn't steal. Which means that someone of a lesser caliber than Yosef would have been pocketing a lot of that money. And according to the Sefer HaChaim, the definition of a tzaddik is someone who doesn't take money that doesn't belong to them. Not just doesn't. You always have opportunities to rationalize, to cut corners, to take a little extra, utilize the job to, make a little bit more when nobody's looking. Yosef was medaktek kachod hasara. Says the Tzrar Hamar. Now, the Tzrar Hamar was written by Rabbi Avram Saba. Avram Saba was one of the Gerushe Sepharad, one of the Spanish leaders, one of the leaders of Spanish Jewry in 1492. And he tells us something very interesting. When Yosef was called upon by Paro to interpret the dreams, so Paro says to Yosef, "Wow, you're an amazing interpreter." So what did Yosef say? Biladai. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Elokim Yaneh Shalim Pare. God. It's God. Very interesting. Says the Tzar Amar, when Paro appointed Yosef to be the ruler of Egypt, what did Paro say to Yosef? Uviladecha la yorim ish es yadai b'chol eretz Mitzrayim. Says the Tzar Amar, Yosef said, it's not me. He showed this anivos, he showed this humility. So Paro says, it's not you, you're the only one. You're the only one. Yosef said, biladai. Paro says, ubiladecha la yorim ish es yadai b'chol eretz Mitzrayim. Okay. So perhaps we could suggest that why Yosef is called a tzaddik? Because he didn't take a dime from Paro. So you say, then why is Noach called a tzaddik? Same reason. Because why was everyone else in the world destroyed? Hamas. And Noach was the only honest guy. Yeah.
In the Torah, Moshe at one point mentions that he didn't take anything.
Yeah. But still, we don't find that someone was. We don't find that anyone was posed with the same challenge as Yosef. Here, Moshe Rabbeinu was saying he served as a public figure. He could have used their donkey. But Yosef was entrusted with money, the likes of which it said in the Chumash says they had so much money, there was no number anymore to count the money. So if they had no number to count the money, no one would have known if Yosef took a penny. Nobody would have known. They hadn't even created that number figure to be able to count the money in Mitzrayim. So nobody would have known. Ki ein mispar. Ki ein mispar. Okay. Says the Kli Yakar, listen to this. We know in Parsha Vayishlach, Yaakov Avinu goes back to get pachim ketanim, small jugs. And it's at that moment that the Malach of Esav strikes him in the hip socket. The Kli Yakar says an amazing thing. Because elsewhere in Chazal, Yaakov Avinu is complimented for not wanting to waste even a small jug. Says the Kli Yakar, the way he sees it, the only reason the Malach of Esav was allowed to attack Yaakov Avinu is because Yaakov acted improperly for going back to get the small jug. Why? Says the Kli Yakar. Yaakov Avinu was a wealthy man. Ki chanan elokim v'chi yesh li kol. He had everything. So he left his dollar canister on the other side of the river. He's endangering himself to go out in the night. Yeah? In the night, there are a lot of shadim. They're demons. I went for a walk tonight. I at least saw 3 shadim. No kidding. I'm telling you, they're out there. At night. No, I'm not telling you. They're out there. They're shadim. And so Yaakov's going to go out at night. He's going to endanger himself with the demons. Why? For a buck? You're going to endanger your life for a buck? Says the Kli Yakar, the Malach of Esav, who was been ready to pounce on Yaakov for the last 77 years, never had an opportunity until he said, oh, Yaakov, you also have a little blindness. You're also interested in money. You're also interested? He strikes him in the socket. Why? Because Yaakov displayed a little bit of too much of an interest in money. Says the Kli Yakar, the desire for money is one of the greatest blindnesses that we have. Just think about it. Why don't we think about money the same way we think about our toothbrush? Yeah, of course, you need a toothbrush. You need money. You got to pay the bills. You have to have some in the bank for a rainy day. Fine. But what are you, you're dreaming about it, you know? No. Money is like galoshes. It's a necessity. Yeah, okay. Says the Kli Yakar like this, a very powerful thing. Says the Kli Yakar, ask yourself the following question. What do you desire in life? Do you desire money? Or do you desire chachma? Wisdom. But it is impossible to desire both. If you desire money, then you don't desire chachma. And because these are two polar opposites. Says the Kli Yakar. He says, why was the Malach able to strike Yaakov in the Yarech? You know what the Yarech is? The thigh is the private part. That represents the secrets of the Torah, the private parts of the Torah, the parts of the Torah that are not accessible to everyone. Says the Kli Yakar, when the Malach saw that Yaakov was slightly too interested in money, he removed Yaakov's ability to comprehend certain aspects of the Torah, because the two can't go together. So a person has to ask himself, what do I desire? What is my dream? What are my aspirations? What do I yearn for? What do I long for? It's one or the other. That's why Hashem asked Shlomo, what do you want? You want Chachma or you want Aisha? Why couldn't he have both? The only way to have both is to say, I desire Chachma. And then, if you're lucky, you'll have Torah Gedula b'makam echad, but lav dafka. Yeah? But if somebody desires both, it's one or the other. Yeah, a person needs money. Money is a necessity for a person's needs. Says the Shlah HaKadosh an amazing thing. Listen to this. The Malach hit Yaakov Avinu where? In the Kaf. How do you spell Kaf? Kaf Pei. On Chanukah, we found in the Beis Hamikdash what? Pach. The same ice. Kaf, Pach. Kaf, Pei. What's the difference? The only difference is it a closed kaf or an open kaf? Is it a closed pei or an open pei? The word kaf, the kaf is closed, the pei is tall and open. The kaf is what we call a kaf kefufa, the pei is a pei pshuta. The kaf, spelled kaf pei, kaf represents, your hand is called a kaf. Your mouth is called a peh. Now, you have two things. You have a hand and you have a mouth. Which one should be open and which one should be closed? The hand should be open, the mouth should be closed. But the kaf of Yaakov, why was the Malach able to strike the kaf of Yaakov? Because when you spell kaf, the kaf is closed, the hand is closed, and the pei, the mouth was open. Why was the hand closed and the mouth open? Because their hand was closed. The Shvatim were money hungry. Why were they money hungry? They sold Yosef for $20. For $20 you sold your. They had an obsession with money. Their mouth was open. Yosef's mouth was open. Vayava Yosef is dibasam ro'el aviyam. The hand was open, was closed, the mouth was open. That's kaf. That's how the Malach was able to strike Yaakov Avinu. But Yaakov's avoda was to bring Chanukah and to transform, says the Shlah, the kaf, vayiga bekaf yirechai, into pach, where pach is the pei, the mouth is closed, and the hand is open. Says the Shlah, quoting from Josephus. This is a rare instance where you have a Makubal quoting from the work of history of Flavius Josephus. Yeah, Yosef ben Gurion. He says like this in Parak Chaf: when the Chashmonaim were victorious over the Yevanim, they distributed all the spoils to the Aniyim. Why? Because they understood in order to transform the kaf of Yaakov into pach, they need to open their hands and keep their mouths closed. And that's why they murdered all of the Jewish tattletellers. They murdered all the Malshinim. Says the Shlah, based on Josephus, that at the Chanukah miracle, the Jewish people murdered all of the Jewish tattletellers to the government to destroy, keep the mouth closed and the hand open. They transformed the kaf into the pach. and they transform the Yerech of Yaakov, look in Parshas Bahaloscha, to the Yerech of the menorah. What's the main branch of the menorah called? Yerech HaMenorah. Look in Parshas Bahaloscha. This is how the Shla understands the connection between Yaakov and Chanukah. To transform the Kaf of Yaakov, where the hand was closed of the Shvatim, they sold Yosef for $20, and their mouth was open, to Chanukah, where we distributed the tzedakah to the aniyim, and we killed the tattletale. So now we understand beautifully. Why, on Chanukah, it's the only Yom Tif that the Magen Avram says, the aniyim come to your house, because you want to be able to transform the Kaf of Yaakov to the Pach Shemen. Says the Sefer Chamra Tava. Okay? You'll help me out with the rest. Says the Sefer Chamra Tava. The Chassam Sofer said that we have 3 mitzvahs. Ner on the left side. Nun. Mem on the right side. Mezuzah. Ayin, the Ani in the middle. Noam. Right? The Hinayim Hashem Lakim. Says the Sefer HaChaim. Back to the Sefer HaChaim. There are 3 main averos that Hashem gets angry at us because of. Number 1, Avodah Zarah, Zayin. Number 2, Ayin, Arayas. Number 3, Mem, Mammon. So we have Noam, the Ner Chanukah, the Ani, the Mezuzah. That's Noam. We have Zam, Hashem's anger. Avodah Zarah, Arayas, Mammon. What's the difference between Nun, Ayin, Mem, and Zayin, Ayin, Mem? 44, the 44 Neros of Chanukah. The miracle of Chanukah, the Yom Tov of Chanukah, is to transform. It's 43, but we could be one off. But the Nes of Chanukah, the Avoid of Chanukah, says the Shla is to transform the Kaf of Yaakov into the Pach Shemen. And that is by understanding that money is not our focus in life. We don't get caught up in it. It's not our desire. It's not our passion. It's not what we yearn for. It's not what we aspire for. And how do we do that? We're careful to give tzedakah on Chanukah more than any Yom Tov where the Ani comes to your house. And that's why the Rambam writes the only mitzvah that you need to sell your clothing for to acquire is Chanukah. Because when it comes to Chanukah, you have to be willing to give up your money more than any other Yom Tov. Why was Yosef matzachein in people's eyes? How did he find favor in people's eyes? Because of his honesty with money. Noach also was a tzaddik. Noach also was v'Noach matzachein b'yeinei Hashem. This is amazing. The Gemara in Shabbos tells us that after Yaakov Avinu battled the Sarai Shal Esav, he comes to Eretz Yisrael, vayichan es pnei ha'ir. Says the Gemara, what does it mean by Yichan es pnei ha'ir? Says the Gemara, he minted coins. Says Rashi, how do you see in the word Vayichan that Yaakov minted coins? Says Rashi, Chen. To mint a coin, according to the way the Sefer Chaim understands it, with the understanding that this is something that Hashem gave me for a specific purpose, but it's not something that I desire or yearn for, that is how one finds chen in people's eyes. Because that allows a person to be honest. If a person is money hungry, if a person is constantly yearning and dreaming and striving for money, it is nearly impossible for a person to be careful only to have and keep and touch and want and to desire the money that truly belongs to him. Says the Machzor Vitri. Who's the Machzor Vitri? The student of Rashi. Chanukah is, you know where Chanukah comes from? Matzah chen b'chafei Kislev. The word Chanukah is we found favor on the 25th day of Kislev. How did we find favor? Like the Shla says, we were able to understand that the ched of Mechiras Yosef, right? Yosef, because of the ched of Mechiras Yosef, it was Vayiga b'kaf Yerecha. And we were able to be masaking that by giving away money to the Aniyim, by giving away the shalal of the victory over the Yevanim. And this is where the root of Chanukah comes from. There's a Rishon. Chanu, they found favor on the 25th day of Kislev. They were masaking the chet of Mechiras Yosef. Where is there an allusion to Chanukah in the Torah? Take what Yosef found, Vayimtza Yosef, chen. With Yosef's garment, Bigdei Sheish, with Yosef's price, Chaf, with the letter that was added to Yosef, because on Chanukah, according to the Shla, we're able to rectify this problem that caused the Malach to come and attack Yaakov Avinu, Vayiga b'kaf Yerecha, and we were able to transform that Yerech into the Yerech of the Menorah, says the Sefer Charmot Tava. The gematria of the word Nes Chanukah is tzedakah. How many different forms of tzedakah are there? What does the Rambam say? 8. 8 days of Chanukah, Keneged, the 8 levels of tzedakah on the Rambam, Nes Chanukah equals tzedakah, and this is an important lesson that we learn. Says the Sefer HaChaim, if you look throughout Tanakh, what is a tzaddik referred to as? Kesef. There are many instances where the Gemara darshans, where it says, I'll give you an example. The Sefer HaChaim says, in the last paragraph, in the first column, number 14, Tzadikim are called Kesef. When Hashem says, Tziror HaKesef Lokach B'yodai, I took the money, a tzaddik is referred to as Kesef. Why? Because if a person wants to be a tzaddik, what he has to master, what he has to have control over is the desire for money. When a person desires, when a person is able to overcome and understand and appreciate the role of money in this world, that is the true definition of a tzaddik. That is what God refers to as a tzaddik. And ultimately, that is what we were able to correct and rectify on Chanukah. Hence the name Chanukah Rabbeisai, Afreilich on Chanukah.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.